Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you about our wonderful project and to present it here in front of the audience today. So Cannatrek is a public, not listed company, and we've been in this project for just over 5 years. The legislation 2009 and 16, we're coming up to 3 years next week. Here we have a picture of our, just go back there. Oh, a bit sensitive here. This particular project has been well thought about quite early on in the legislation, where we saw the need to actually have a agricultural facility which is under permit. So we're very proud to have announced the development approval a few months back, which give us the runway to be able to commercialise cannabis. Now, I'm hoping everyone can forget everything they know about cannabis. You may have read over the last few decades or not have read. We're talking about a plant which we believe will disrupt the whole medical fraternity in terms of what a doctor will prescribe when you go to a GP or you need to care for a loved one. So I'm going to try and present 5 years in 5 minutes. And this is where we are today. So the cannabis plant takes about 10 weeks to go through its life cycle. It gets taken to a manufacturing facility, turned into a capsule or a drug, and it is prescribed. Today in Australia there's been close to 20,000 approvals. Last year there were 100. Last year it took about 3 months for a doctor to go through the scheme. Today it takes half an hour. So we're seeing incredible change in how cannabis is viewed historically, and today how it's integrating throughout the different areas of the medical fraternity. So just a quick snapshot of where we are. So Cannatrek has been fortunate to have raised significant funds today, where we've used those funds to develop our first site in Queensland, which is now fully operational. And we'll show you a few pictures of that in a moment. The property that we saw in the first slide is 100% owned by the company, and it is set up for scaling at considerable scale. The project also needs quite a lot of regulation. We have local, state and federal licenses which have to be approved before you can operate. And Cannatrek project has today the approvals in place for Queensland and under production, which will provide approximately up to 5 tonne of cannabis raw product which can be integrated to medicines. So the cannabis plant, as we mentioned previously, can affect almost every single area of the medical indications. And we see that it could disrupt up to 20% of pain management. We saw an article only yesterday where there was some research done on reducing benzodiazepines, which are, unfortunately, we've heard a lot in the news about the opioid crisis. So the idea is that cannabis can be a complementary medicine to reduce the symptoms from traditional medicine. So it's going to be very much a hybrid approach of how doctors look at prescribing cannabis. The global market's quite significant. You hear about different views from all over the world. We're seeing country by country changing their legislation. The UN had a global, I would say, frame around the plant where no one could research it or trade. That has completely changed over the last 2 years, and we're seeing virtually every country in the world relook at their Health Act and try and implement how the cannabis can integrate into the current medical regimes. In Australia, we've seen, as I said, from 100 approvals last year to nearly 20,000. We're looking at probably up to 200,000 next year. We believe there's up to 1 million eligible patients today in Australia who either self-medicate. The problem with the market today is access is from illicit markets which aren't tested, and this is where we're seeing a change as companies like ourselves are getting up into production over the next 12 months to be able to provide a quality product which is tested, has no toxins in it. And we're not talking about one product. The cannabis plant has over 100 cannabinoids. So there's a plant which induces sleep, there's a plant which can, or a genetic I should say, which affects pain, or even cancer therapy has been looked at. So we're talking about a very multiple faceted plant. Our business model is two businesses in one. So Cannatrek is importing product and distributing. We receive about 15 approvals, scripts from doctors. We have over 50 doctors prescribing. We've just recently sold our 1,000th unit. So we're very much trading, and we've proven an end-to-end system where we receive a script, we can get it dispatched the next day anywhere in Australia. So this is not just about agriculture, it's about technology, it's about communicating between doctors, pharmacists and our supply chain, and very much so about what type of plant we're going to concentrate for the different medical indications. So technology, agriculture and medicine are all packaged into one in this project. These are the type of products that we're currently importing, and Cannatrek will move from an importer to a local distributor, which will very much affect the price point, which is very sensitive at the moment in the market. And these products come out of Canada, and the top one is a flower, the middle one is a capsule and an oil tincture. This is the project in Queensland, which is under production today. And it's very much a low-cost, high-technology farm. So it was recently, or prior to us taking on the project, it was a native plant nursery. We completely redid all the greenhouses, and we have now a laboratory on site. We also have a curing and drying area. We have a vault. It's a prototype at commercial scale. So this particular project can produce up to 5 tonnes of cannabis, and we're seeing prices of between $3.50 at the gate to $18 at the retail end. So very high value product. Some people say it's about 15 times the value of a traditional horticultural tomato farm. So we can see significant inventory value in the success of the project. The project in Victoria is our scalable project, which we talked about, or you saw the first slide. This has been in the makings of over a year and a half, and I'll just go to this slide. So the project has been developed with some great advisors out of Holland who are experts in building these Dutch Venlo glass houses, very typical of a horticulture facility you see in Northern Victoria. This particular project is built for scale. We'll be starting in this the bottom southwest corner. So I'll just go back to our slides, and this will be the phase 1 of the project, phase 2, 3, 4, and a mirror image of the project here. So we can scale up the project according to the market, how it grows, according to our overseas interests that have a lot of interest to see Australian product reach the APEC region, also in Europe. One of the problems we see in the market today is quality GMP produce. So Australia is very much poised as with Brand Australia, good quality products which can go into supply chains throughout the world. So they're the current numbers of our sales to date, which have begun from this year. We thought the market has been very much based on getting licenses in the first year. Companies are raising monies, and we'll see in the following year, in 2020, companies like ourselves in Australia actually get into production and complete the supply chain. We've had some successful capital raising to date, which puts Cannatrek in a very solid position. The farm in Queensland is fully funded, operational to date, and we've decided to list the company after our first successful harvest. We're about halfway through that harvest, so we're just about to induce flowering for the plant. So we're well poised for our first harvest, be probably around January, February of next year. We have also a number of seed banks which have arrived. We have an Australian seed bank and a number of Dutch seed banks to create about 20 different genetics, which we'll be doing a lot of research on. There's a bit of information which I'm sure everyone's interested in, is how we're going to be different from potentially the other competitors in the market. We don't see this really as a competitive landscape. It's obviously very capital intensive. Being fortunate to be up and running is a great first mover advantage, which we hope to continue. Hence the reason why we're very robust in building the farm in Shepparton under the support of 3 levels of government. And that's been a real prime mover for the company to be where it is today. And it's a very exciting journey for us to actually be finally in production and seeing the plants grow. Not only that, we have a lot of patient access dialogues with doctors, and it is such a fast-moving industry that we're very fortunate to be in this position today. My colleague Brett Schwartz is sitting at the table here. He'll be attending the conference and very happy to meet the participants, to answer any questions you may have, and I hope the day goes very well for everyone today. Thank you.